lap to the start. The 24th car of Mark Schur has had trouble starting, is on pit road, and will have to wait for the field to actually take green before he'll be allowed to come on. There you see the field, ready for this preparatory lap to race number 11 for the World Championship of Automobile Racing. The championship point standings as we get into this event. In front is Reutemann by only 8 points over Nelson Piquet with 9 points for a win. Piquet could move out in front today. Very important race for Nelson Piquet. And now let's take a look at the course. Here's Jody Scheckter.
The biggest difference with this circuit is it's very fast. 3.4 miles, and that's a chicane. You'll see a lot of overtaking, especially at the start into that chicane. The fastest part of the circuit, 195 miles an hour down there, the turbos were going. Very fast, and you can see that all the corners double back and are very, very, very fast.
Let's take a look at the lane assignments for today's Austrian Grand Prix. As the field meanders around the course to come back for that short time, about 10 seconds before they'll get the green. Up front are the Renault automobiles. 4th time in a row they've been on the front. In row 2 will be Villeneuve of Canada and Jacques Lafitte. In row 3 is Carlos Reutemann and the world champion Alan Jones. Then coming to row 4 is Nelson Piquet, currently number 2, and the Ferrari driver Didier Pironi. In row 5, we find Ilio De Angelis for Lotus, and Riccardo Patrese had a great qualifying run for Arrows. And there you see Mario Andretti. He starts well back in 13th, and Eddie Cheever, the other American from the United States, failed to qualify for the first time this year. And now we look at the rest of the starting field. As we mentioned earlier, the gentleman who had trouble at Hockenheim a week ago, Mark Schur, had a terrible crash, broke a rib, has since had a car crash in practice here again. They've had a lot of trouble with the Theodore car, and it now rests on pit road, giving us 23 cars moving around what is considered the fastest course in Grand Prix racing today. Faster than even Silverstone, qualifying at some 143 miles an hour, 192 miles an hour on the straightaway on the Renault automobiles, and they're capable of going through many of these corners at over 140. Very, very fast track, and there is just no room for error here.
Right, and I think the problem is that these tires around the corners with the heat that we have today, are the tires going to last constantly till the end of the race? So you may see a lot of changing in positions, and nobody has won this race until the flag's down.
Last year, it was the Renault driven by Jabouille, which came in and won by scant feet over Alan Jones as he was running out of petrol at the end. This is a track that should allow these turbocharged cars to express their characteristics, that horsepower they have that they can kick in from the boost, but the tires will be a big issue. There is so much pressure. The course is so fast, and the left front tire is very apt to blister here.
And here they come down to the starting position. This is their proper grid now they come down to.
Coming around Rindt Curve and coming to the starting line, Arnoux on the pole. He qualified at 144.427 miles per hour. Winner of 2 Grand Prix. Has had a bad season thus far this year. The gentleman who we saw win the French Grand Prix beside him crossed in the second car, expecting to be a father today.
They'll get the green flag. The green light will come on. First the red light, then you can see they're all in position. They got between 5 and 7 seconds before the green light comes on.
A new lighting system here today. Should there be a problem, there was a caution light that could come on, but right now everything looks good for a start.
Good start.
And on the start, the Ferrari, Villeneuve, comes down the inside. Villeneuve going for the lead as they come from the start.
He'll take that first corner. He's on the right line to take the first into the chicane. He'll come out of there first, that's for sure.
A major surprise as Ferrari dipped down the inside and went screeching off to the start. And it is Ferrari out in front as they move around the first time.
And it's Gilles Villeneuve in the front there with the 2 Renaults behind them. You can see,
looks like Didier Pironi has moved into 4th at the start.
Yes. Gilles always seems to get very good starts. You can see the difference between a real racer and a person that gets into the groove slowly. Gilles always very quick from the beginning, and it is Didier in 4th place. Right.
Behind him comes Jacques Lafitte, and there you see the battle. Reutemann is battling hard with number 5. That's Piquet. They're battling for the world title.
Right.
Back they come. What a surprise. The Canadian, Gilles Villeneuve, streaking out in front. That Ferrari has the power, but it darts and dodges and dives around this track. And a big surprise seeing him take off that well, the Ferrari just winding up a bit. Many say that after 15, perhaps 18 laps, that Ferrari could be in trouble on this course, Jody.
Well, I think that their suspensions, they were having a lot of trouble with the suspensions, and it's taking a lot out of the trials. Now there you see Gilles Villeneuve, a very aggressive, known as really the fastest driver on the circuit today. And I think he shows it here. He always seems to lead. And there, now Nelson Piquet trying to get past Carlos Reutemann for the lead of the World Championship.
Villeneuve has 2 victories thus far this year. Here he comes, leading still another lap. A challenge on the inside. The Renault is trying to go for the lead.
And there's
Change of leadership, and Villeneuve is off the course. Gilles Villeneuve in trouble. He's coming off, and as well as Reutemann, I believe.
Gilles was lucky to get away with that. Lucky to get away with that. He tried to hold the outside position going into there. Renier got him on the inside, taken into the chicane, as I said earlier, on the ideal place to overtake. He went wide, went on the slippery path, and he had to take to the escape road.
So Arnoux now becomes the leader of the Austrian Grand Prix, and Prost moves into second place. Reutemann still having problems. Things not going well for this man, Carlos Reutemann of Argentina.
A very bad mistake. He's leading the World Championship. All he wants to do is not make mistakes. And he made a mistake there, but he got away with it quite lightly. He's lying about 6th to 8th position now. Should be able to make that up if the car's good. It's a long race.
Number 15, Alain Prost, running in second place. And remember that as of today, he hopes to be a father. He's been on tenterhooks for the past 4 days here. The baby is so overdue, he expects it to come out fully clothed. The last time that I can remember a thing like that happening was with Jody Scheckter. When your first youngster was born, that was one of your worst races, was it not?
Right, I always felt it wasn't me, but the pit crew seemed to blame it on my child. It was worth it, though.
So on our CBS Sports Sunday same-day satellite coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix, the standings, Alain Prost is now first. Arnoux, his teammate, is second. Didier Pironi for Ferrari is third. Lafitte is fourth. Nelson Piquet lies fifth. We'll be back with more shortly. Closing ground in the Austrian Grand Prix. Jacques Lafitte in trouble for a moment. You saw him get high and bobble. And the car of Slim Borgen of Sweden nearly getting beneath him. There you see the standings. Arnoux is in first. Lafitte here is in second. Piquet third. Jones is fourth. Reutemann is running fifth. John Watson is sixth overall in the field. And right now the story is that Talbot Ligier trying to collect that leader. Meanwhile, it is Nelson Piquet still moving in. He's gaining ground as well. The turbo seems to be a little off, the lead automobile at this point of the race, Jody.
Well, at the beginning, Jacques Lafitte was held up by the Ferrari, which was very fast, but now he seems to be catching up and making ground on the Renault. There he is, right behind him, catching ground up very fast now. In fact, he's 1.9 seconds behind from 14 seconds earlier on after losing the ground in the dice, trying to get past Didier Pironi's Ferrari.
Now they're trying to lap the box. There is the second place driver, Jacques Lafitte, winner of 4 World Championship races over the years. There's the leader, Arnoux. He's trying to lap Rabach, the Mexican driver in the Brabham. He's doing so. Coming around Rin Corner now about 140 miles an hour plus in these long sweepers that give the engine so much chance to get up there and show speed and wear down those tires.
And that's the fastest part on the straight now. That Renault will be doing about 195 miles an hour in this section as he comes down. Jacques Lafitte getting through the traffic.
Jacques Lafitte in his 102nd Grand Prix working this track. He has moved from 13 seconds back to be within sight of the leader, Arnoux, with now 21 laps remaining in this World Championship event.
And it's slowing them up, going through the back markers a little bit. They seem to be, he's got through Hector Roback in the second Brabham, and there he's going to catch him. I mean, the problem for me is when he gets him, is he going to get past? Because the Turbo Renault is much faster down the straight, and he'll be much faster in the corner.
You can see the cars at speed shake and stutter on this track. So fast. These cars way under under 1,400 pounds, traveling many times on this course at over 150, and on that long, fast straightaway at over 190.
And there you are, see, 0.7 of a second behind him. Now, they're both on the same type of tires, so if the tires are going to go, they're going to go together. Doesn't seem to be, both of them don't seem to be having a problem with the tires, but I'd say the Renault is not handling as well as the Ligier.
A year ago, Chabouis had a big advantage, over 8 seconds with a few laps to go, and Alan Jones caught him up and lost by a few feet. Now today, the interval much closer as we get down to the end of the race, with again, one of the yellow, black, and white cars, Team Renault, out in front, and that Talbot Ligier much closer.
Right,
20 laps remaining.
With 20 laps remaining, he should be able to find a gap. It depends, though. Once he catches him, he's going to be looking to see where he can get past him, and can he stay in front of him on the straights. With René Arnoux, a very sensible driver, doesn't make many mistakes, a solid person I'd like to have in the team if I had a team, in fact.
His wife and young son here watching today as Arnoux stays just barely off the front end of car number 26.
And you see there how he catches him in the corners. He's much faster than him in the corners, but he'll be a lot slower on the straights, because those turbos at this altitude seem to have a big advantage. In fact, about 10% advantage in power.
That's the closest Lafitte has been. Elevation here, 1,700 feet. Gives about a 6% advantage to the turbos, but no advantage right now as Lafitte moves in, trying to make a pass. The turbo bends him off as they come across the start-finish line, charge up the hill into the chicane, and head for Rindt turn.
I would say that the Renault's going to be battling to keep ahead of the Ligier at this time, because he's just too much slower on lap times. Although he's got the legs down the straight, I'm sure Lafitte will find a hole before these 20 or 19 laps now are finished.
They have a lap car in front of them that could prove to be a problem. Coming around, Arnoux has to sort it out, spot where he wants to move.
Well, that's leading on to the fastest part on the straight again, so the Renault will have no problem there keeping ahead.
The Cesaris,
letting him through, that's right.
He's called the Crasherist these days. He's been off just about everywhere, including here, giving ground and letting through Arnoux and Lafitte, the two French drivers from those two great French teams, making a great show of it here in the Austrian Grand Prix on CBS Sports Sunday today.
That's very difficult, overtaking these back markers, and that's what Lafitte's waiting for, the chance where Arnoux, an undecisive decision, doesn't take the right decision, and he can get through behind some back marker. But the way he's going, he seems to be much faster in lap times, much faster around the corners. He's going to find the place to overtake fairly soon.
So here are the standings on the top competitors in the Austrian Grand Prix. We'll be back with more in a moment. Back at the Austrian Grand Prix, Jacques Lafitte continuing to apply pressure. Lies just about 3 car lengths off the leader, Arnoux, as they are in the chicane, headed for the Rindt turn another time. The laps remaining now stand at 17. Arnoux's big lead of 14 seconds, that has disappeared. And it now is a question of can the blue and white car, the Talbot Ligier of Jacques Lafitte, find a place to strike for its first championship win of the season. Jody Scheckter.
Now, Lafitte is asking himself, where can he overtake?
Problems on Bruno Giacomelli's car. The Alfa Romeo coming in. Suspension broken down on Giacomelli and a fire in the back of the car.
It's on fire. Giacomelli's game must get out of there. It's in the pit road. They shouldn't have any problem. You can see the fire extinguisher there on the right.
The teammate of Mario Andretti. Andretti's had problems with tires way back in the story, and directly across from our announce booth, Giacomelli walks away from this disaster. The Alfa Romeo on fire on pit road. In front, this crowd of better than 70,000 fired by this exciting battle as again Lafitte closes, but cannot contain the yellow car of Arnoux maintaining first position.
As I said earlier, Lafitte's going to ask himself, where can he overtake? He hasn't got the speed down the straight. The turbo is faster than him on the straight, and he knows he's faster on the corners. But can he, and where can he get ahead? And when he does get ahead, he's got to get ahead enough so the turbo can't overtake him on the next straight. And that's going to be his problem.
Better than 150 miles per hour, a shift into fifth gear up the hill. Now they come down for third gear into the chicane.
He can't take him in the chicane at that point.
Five gearboxes being torn through there. You see some of the patches on this track which make it so rough and abuse the drivers. There is Bruno Giacomelli's Alfa Romeo, that 12-cylinder car erupting in flame as it came on pit road. And he will not finish this event. As you know, Villeneuve is already out of it after a bad wreck with his Ferrari, if you're just joining us. The attrition rate has been building here today, and many of those favored to do well. Patrick Tambay, he is out. Siegfried Storr is out. Derek Daly is retired from the event. All eyes galvanized on the battle for the lead. Again, the turbocharged leader-and-a-half car stays in front. Arnoux, the 3-liter car. The Talbot Ligier still in second. Lafitte closing up another time. Marvelous shot showing the power, these two cars being so brilliantly driven over this fast giant slalom course.
There, he had a little bite at him on this left-hand corner, and I would think that would most probably be one of the places he'll try and overtake.
Do you think Arnoux is looking in the mirrors a lot here, Jody?
Arnoux knows wherever Lafitte's... Well, I think he knows where he's thinking of going. He's got to watch that all the time because he's really playing a bit of a blocking game around the corners and then accelerating down the straights. But that is motor racing. He's got the advantage on the straights and hasn't got it on the corner. He gets very close on this corner, coming out onto the pit straight, but won't be able to up the hill there where the turbo really out-accelerates him. Now they're coming up to traffic. This may be interesting, and this is maybe where he finds the gap to overtake the Renault.
To sort their way around through that chicane. Back out of third gear into fourth. Around this corner, they'll stay in fourth, then pop into fifth with lap traffic in front of them. You have to make the right decisions with the major players as you come up on the ponds here in this now 160-mile-an-hour game of chess.
Right, and they're coming up to traffic, so we could see something interesting.
And here are the leaders behind this heavy group of cars. Daly is back on the track, right in front of him, Salazar car. Barry Gill is standing by in the pits with Bruno Giacomelli.
What happened? Well, I had some problem at the ignition, and I come into the pit line, and certainly on the back of the car start to burn, and then I stopped just here.
Arnoux at about 100 miles per hour here on the course, and here comes Jacques Lafitte applying the pressure. Lafitte is taking the lead. Jacques Lafitte putting the Talbot Ligier car into first place. Arnoux dropping to second. A major change here, the V12 power plant working beautifully.
That's what he had been planning for several laps, and he found the gap. The thing is now, can he stay in the lead? Because the Renault has the legs down the straight, and he's got to maintain his lead.
In this start-finish line area and up the hill, there is Lafitte trying to lap the 10th place car and doing so, getting a lap on Salazar in the inside, number 14.
And here they go into the second fastest part of the circuit, where the Renault, if it's going to have a shot at Lafitte, this is where it's going to happen. Now he's passing that other car. Can he get him before the next corner? No.
Runs out of room. So Lafitte stays in front. And the turbo-powered Renault runs in second place here as Jacques Lafitte has command. Let's look at that pass once again.
This is the left-hand corner. Lafitte goes on the inside of him, just gets his wheel on the inside of him. Now, Arnoux tries to come in, but can't come in. He's been planning that. You can see a very nice and clean maneuver, the right way an experienced man should do it.
Jacques Lafitte, who last won in Germany, 1980, then powered by the Ford Cosworth, has taken a French V12 into the lead here in the Austrian Grand Prix. More shortly. At the Austrian Grand Prix, Arnoux is beginning to catch Lafitte up once again as we look at the standings behind the front pair. 8 seconds back. In third is Nelson Piquet. Alan Jones fourth, Reutemann fifth, Watson sixth. DeAngelis currently seventh. Jody?
Early on, when Jacques Lafitte overtook Arnoux, he must have had a problem, maybe a gear problem or something like that, and he's obviously learned to live with it because he's going fast now and he's catching him. And when he catches him, he's going to get past him fairly easily because this Renault Turbo is faster down the straight, and we saw that earlier on.
This track is rough as a pirate's beard out here. They bounce and vibrate these cars. There's Nelson Piquet, lying second in the world standings. He is third overall in this race with the Bernie Ecclestone Brabham car. And if there's any problems, he's just close enough to move in. Taking a look at the attrition, the big story was Villeneuve earlier, who had a bad shunt, tore up the front of his car. He is all right. Slim Borgert is among the recent retirees, and the Ensign finally went to bed. The car driven by Salazar of Chile. As well as you see, Patrick Tambay is out. Store. Giacomelli had the fire. So that 23 starting grid with Mark Schur not making it, engine problems on the Theodore, is rapidly being reduced as we get down to the last 6 laps of racing.
And Prost, we saw Prost have a suspension failure, and that looks like quite an obvious thing to happen with the track very, very hard. You can see the tire marks actually digging into the circuit, and with the suspensions on these cars at the moment, which are very hard, you can see it as that car bounces around there.
Arnoux still in second place, hoping to get one more shot if the tires should go sour on the Lafitte car in first place. There he is. Arnoux still and we have problems with Patrese, who has been running as high as 9th. Ricardo Patrese swapping ends, turning that Arrows car into a rototiller out there, Jody.
It looks like it's got a blown motor there. I can't understand it. Maybe it blew the motor and the oil went onto the back tires, and that's what caused him to spin.
Alan Jones has told us just how rough this course is. Let's listen to what he had to say about this track earlier.
Well, all the drivers are taking a really big jolting. It's very, very hard on the drivers. It's very, very bumpy. I'm copping it through the neck, the arms, everywhere. And I honestly believe that there'll be very few finishes on today. I believe that there'll be suspension failures. There'll be a lot of people spinning out. I believe there'll be a very high rate of attrition.
Well, I thought Alan Jones was going to be wrong until about 4 or 5 laps ago, and then they began going off like popcorn. No fewer than 6 cars are out of action with blown engines. The latest retiree, Mario Andretti, back in 12th position when the Alfa Romeo went away. There are the standings as we move toward the finish of today's Austrian Grand Prix. Here's the man, Jacques Lafitte.
Really what he's worrying about, he's got, 1.5 laps to go now. He's going to make no mistakes on these 2 last laps, hoping the fuel will last out.
Second in Belgium, second in Spain, looking for a win today. Some marvelous third-place finishes for him a week ago in Germany. Remember, he was third in Great Britain. He was third at Monaco. This man, Jacques Lafitte, fiery competitor, stands about 5'6", 5'5", 125 pounds. Great sportsman, plays a lot of tennis.
I was talking to him earlier this weekend in the motorhome, and he was saying how much he would like to win the World Championship. He's now 38 years old. He's getting on in his career, and the one thing he hasn't done is won the World Championship, and that's what every driver really wants to do. And the way it's looking now, he's got a chance. If he wins here, it's going to bring him right up into the standings.
His best finish here was 1976 in Austria on this better than 3-mile course. He took second, and he had 1/3 there. There is a lap remaining now as Lafitte comes across the stripe.
Right into the last lap through the chicane onto the second fastest part of the corner now. They'll be doing about 170 miles an hour on this part. Looks like his car looks very healthy, really changing gears very smoothly. Everything very tight, himself and the car.
Around the Rindt turn, how does one feel when one has this kind of advantage, Jody, and is on his way to a victory?
Really, the only thing you can do is not make a mistake. He'll be using everything as gently as he can and hoping that nothing's going to go wrong on that last lap. This is the fastest part of the circuit now. We're doing 180 down there, maybe backing off. The Renault's far enough behind him. He knows that that can't catch him if everything goes all right. Down through the right-hand Bosch curve, coming up to the 2 left-hand curves on the course. Quite a tricky part, but shouldn't be tricky at this stage for him.
Arnoux lying second. There's Lafitte.
The car becomes light there. The car becomes light as it goes outside because it's a reverse camber. The road goes away from the car there. Okay, down into the hill, up over this mound, over that's a blind corner. You've got to turn before you can see the next part of the corner. Over to the last corner before the checkered flag, something he's been looking for a long time.
Coming through the Sebring turn and down for the flag for the French team to the line. Talbot Ligier waving to the crowd as he takes the stripe. It is Jacques Lafitte. The checkered flag is out, and across the stripe in second is Arnoux. Coming across for third will be the Brabham car driven by Piquet. There's your winner of the Austrian Grand Prix here on CBS Sports Sunday today. Credit goes to the French team of Talbot Ligier. Jacques Lafitte has done it. Throughout this week in Austria, following training each day, Lafitte would go with his good friend Arnoux trout fishing, something they both enjoy. When the time was apropos today, Lafitte simply reeled in his old friend and then wouldn't let him off the hook.
He must feel very happy. A very good race, a mature race, after being held up 20 seconds by Peroni and the Ferrari. He reeled them in, as you said, and came in to win a good race.
The world standings become even tighter. Lafitte still third, but closing on Reutemann and Piquet. John Watson moves into a tie with Villeneuve for 5th place. The Austrian Grand Prix is won by Jacques Lafitte. For Barry Gill and the former world champion Jody Scheckter, I'm Ken Squire. Stand by for after these messages. Brent Musburger will update you with more late sports on CBS Sports Sunday.